thought today I would use sound to really convey where we are at this moment in time. How we are in the midst of that gong beat. Now, I don't have a gong, I have a singing bowl, but it's the same principle. Is this gong, this moment was struck, and the reverberations of that sound will be continuing. And they are not slowing down. So, as I speak of so much, we are in these cycles between cycles where there was a gong moment that was rung. And some of these have started all the way back, for example, to the 1960s. These seed planting moments that, again, even go back beyond that. But now we are in the time of that accelerating beat of the drum. The gongs, the beats, the sounds, they are still in this reverberation, and the strikes are coming faster and faster. They are not going to slow down. They will continue to build and build, feeding on each other, this reverberation into this new world that we don't know what it is yet. But some of us are tapping into and feeling what is coming next. While at the same time, there is these old timelines that we as a collective are being forced to re-experience, to re-witness, to go into those old wounds, to reintegrate these fragmented parts of ourselves, to return us to wholeness so we can hold this frequency. This new change that is opening up for us. And I find that very fitting that I have a big old airplane going overhead because that is what this moment is, where we are tuning into this new frequency, and we are still living in this here now moment where there are airplanes and there are lots of distractions happening all over the world. It is all perfect. It's all interweaving together, which is part of this push to step into our spiritual mastery, to be true spiritual warriors. And that is the initiation that we are really finding ourselves in at this moment in time. My name is Chrissy Whistler. I am a soul level evolutionary astrologer, so I'm going to speak very, very deep. Even as I have cars going by, I'm going to try my best to hold these frequencies. I'm also an embodied astrologer, where my intention is to bring this information to you in a way that makes sense, so you can work with these energies this moment in time. Work with, alchemize what is on hand, so you can step into your mastery, so you can ride these massive waves of change and become an expert at riding these waves. I'm also an intuitive, so I will be bringing in some of what I am feeling in the field and what has been coming up. If you would like to work with me one-on-one for an astrology birth chart reading or an intuitive reading, please go to my website, chrissywhistler.com. And if you find this video helpful, please help me out and give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that so much. Please subscribe, please share, all the things. Really does help me out so much to connect and to share these messages. So, I have a lot to go over today, and as usual, I will do my absolute best to bring these powerful astrologies and these energies through, and know that I will not be covering everything because we'll be here for hours, and these already go long enough as they do. All right, so I am filming this. My goodness, what day is it? Is anybody else losing track of time? I really, really am. April 14th, we'll say? Yes, it's April 14th. We are going to be having our Aries new moon on April 17th or 18th, depending where you live in the world. So that's what I'm going to be talking and building up towards in this video. What to expect for this next upcoming moon cycle. But I need to ground you where we are now, especially to help you understand the intensity of these collective energies and to maybe even validate your experiences, because this has been a very challenging few weeks. We have been in this energy of flipping through timelines, and you can feel into the possibilities of what might happen. And then it's like, you know those old Rolodex cards which you had for your contacts, and you'd flip them to find the next person, or flip forward? Like, that's what this has felt like for me. Is it's like not a single moment has been truly grounded, and this is exactly where we're going. Instead, it's been flipping back, flipping forward, flipping to new possibilities, potentialities. There are stories, there are wounds that we have to resolve first before we can go to where this gong reverberation sounds are taking us. So if you felt, and if you're sensitive, you might have been picking this up, that are we stepping into World War III? Last Tuesday, when the President of the United States, my president, was threatening to obliterate an entire peoples, oh my. Not only am I even just speaking about our recent past with World War I and World War II, we're also speaking to the deep, deep past. So if you are a very, very old soul and you have been around, and your soul memories are of these apocalyptic times, you were probably really tuning into those old memories and stories, those feelings surfacing, because you've been around the block and you know what those words mean. Not just as a mental thought experiment, but deep within your being, you know what that means, what that looks like, what that feels like. There has been a need to go back into that timeline and to bear witness to it. Not saying that that timeline is set in stone, because then what happens? The Rolodex flipped again, and we found ourselves on another timeline. So if you've been feeling that back and forth, can't quite get your footing, that is part of this moment. And it has been a very tricky wave to ride and to surf, especially dependent on how sensitive you are to the greater collective energies and the collective unconscious. That was certainly where I was and still am, because now we're still in this in-between space of, well, what is going to happen? Are things going to escalate? So it's this in-between worlds that we find ourselves in. But it's not without a reason, not without purpose. All right, so part of this, well, a really, really big part of this, and I will be unpacking this with you throughout this video. This is the last gasps of the patriarchy. That is 100% this moment that we are in. So you are seeing this playing out in two different worlds. You know, there is the timeline of God of war, militaristic might, the power to crush and subdue another. You don't have to look far on the world stage to see it taking place. In fact, all you have to do is look to the United States and you'll get all these examples of what that is. And the people who are falling in line to that old timeline, they are doubling down into that delusion, into this fog of war, and even the old stories, the old timelines of using God, Christianity, Catholicism, right, in the name of war. Can you just feel that Rolodex flipping back to that timeline? We are 100% reliving that old story. And this is one of the parts, the layers of healing that timeline and actually choosing this truer Christ consciousness energy of unconditional love. And we're really seeing that being embodied by Pope Leo at the moment, standing up for this true wisdom and this need to be a peacemaker. On the other end of the spectrum, there is something else that is rising. The divine feminine in her true power, in her full power. This suppression and repression, this demonization of who she truly is, those old stories are falling away bit by bit, especially as the patriarchy, the god of war, this age of Aries energy is holding tighter and tighter. That is allowing her to wake up. I had to pause for a moment as the gardener was coming by with the very loud machinery. This is part of this surrendering to what is. But thankfully that worked out and I don't have to, as yet, move to another spot. Okay. All right, so as I was saying, we are experiencing this patriarchy octave of the Aries energy. This is important. We currently have 8 primary orbiting bodies in Aries right now. A lot of them. We've got, let me see if I can get them all. Neptune, Mercury, Mars, big one right there. Saturn, Manway, Chiron, Selassie is there too. Let's see, now it's 7 and we got even more. And then we're going to have Aries, and then we have the sun and the moon. So I just listed 10 planets for this new moon. Big deal. So this is why we're really seeing the division between these two sides. There's the old style Aries, military style energies. This is again going back 2,000, 4,000 years during the age of Aries, when patriarchy came forward, took center stage, and really took over our entire earth took over and suppressed the divine feminine. So no surprise, these old wounds are playing out right now. And as I said, on the other side is the divine feminine rising. So there has been this delusion, lies and deceit, silver tongue, I don't want to say devils, but silver tongue, not honoring truth, right? Only caring about themselves and their own power and their own might. This is all speaking to that lower octave of Aries that's in play. And then on the other side, where we have both, we have just witnessed Viktor Orban in Hungary being defeated, being overcome by the people of Hungary, coming together and pushing through with their voices this demand for truth, demand for their selves and their rights, despite the absolute oppression and ability to even change, to have that breakthrough come. And even in that story with Hungary, this is that Christian nationalism, again, that distortion of God, of Jesus. And we've been seeing that rising up throughout our different countries. Here in the United States, it's very easy to see, but I'm curious if you're noticing that as well in your country, where there is this Christian white nationalism really taking root. And Hungary was the model that they all looked up to. And here in this situation, we had the people rising up and saying, no, not on my watch. This is not okay. This is not inclusive. They are absolutely harnessing the energy of Aries, the warrior sister of Mars. She is the one who supports the downtrodden, the minority, and she will not leave that field of battle until true harmony has come through. She will cause discord until change happens. She and her energy will rise to meet the moment. And we're seeing it. Now, Aries, I'm going to continue to talk to you in this video. Very important, powerful energy. She is one of our dwarf planets. And how she cuts through the ecliptic plane, and we won't go into the technical astrology stuff, but the way her energy presents itself is even more potent and powerful than Pluto. Pluto is this cataclysmic, reactionary power of change. Aries, her strength is even more than that, but where Pluto can come in and really blow things up, right? That is the power of Pluto. Aries is a much more gentle energy. So even though she's bringing in this need for radical change, this discord, she's also doing it very quietly in the background, and she will not move until we reach this change. So it's really beautiful to see her energy coming in. And, you know, another example of this rising of this feminine energy, this taking back of her power. I had a friend who sent me a text message. I've been sharing a lot about our public lands on social media. One of the current administration's goals is to drill, baby, drill. And I love our public lands. They are my solace and my children's solace. They are my heart and my soul. So it's a big area for me. Anyway, I've been sharing about that. And this friend sent me a message. She's a very quiet friend, to tell me that there was a developer looking to build affordable housing on the bluffs of Carpinteria. which is basically these sand dune like places on the beach, near the beach. This beautiful wild space looking to be developed for affordable housing. Well, I can tell you that my friend is correct in saying beachfront property is never affordable. And she was so sickened by this, hearing this, that she reached out to share that with me. This is what I mean by the divine feminine rising up. She is getting really, really pissed off at that tightening hold of this delusional patriarchy that doesn't give a shit about anyone but itself. That need to dominate and complete control. Just as we saw with Hungary, there's that rising up of her. And that her is within each of us. This is the goddess Kali energy waking up. This is Aries calling us back to our power that we have been disconnected from, disassociated from over these past 2,000 to 4,000 years. And she is like, no more. So are you noticing this in your life in some way? Some fiery that's burning within you, where you finally are standing up in some way. And it can be a really small way, like my friend with this text. Or when I put out the call to save and to speak out for Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, which is a very sacred area, not just for the indigenous peoples, but our human history. And they want to go mine a mile away from this historic, really, really old human site in the Americas, in the United States. We don't have a lot of those left standing. What small ways are you noticing that in yourself or those around you? This restless anger, this restless rage, calling you to step forward, calling you back to your power. Let me know in the comments below. I would love to see you and to witness you, and to even, maybe we can get this dialogue going of such a simple thing of even speaking out through a text can actually be really powerful, and it can start waking that person up to themselves. Be like, yeah, this is right. This is a bunch of bullshit. I'm not okay with this. I need to stand and say something. So just know that we're working on many, many different levels here. This feminine goddess energy. She is diverse. And what are those diverse ways that she is speaking and working through you? So as I was alluding to, with the singing bowl and with these energies in Aries, this is not a quiet moment in time, and it was not meant to be. This is the shakeup. This is that pressure building, that tension, that creation that is going to push that divine feminine within each of us to wake up to her power, to our power, and to take a stand. This is the striking of this gong, that singing ball, like I said, it hit once and it's going to hit again, louder, faster and faster. This Aries new moon is another one of those moments where the mallet is striking the gong. We are being initiated into something new. Aries. This is a very instinctual time, instinctual energy. Don't think with your mind that you need to have it all figured out and know exactly where you're going. That is not this time either. This is pioneering new roads, being guided by your gut, by your instincts, and just going with it and seeing where that road takes you. this is also at the exact same time that old necessary review of the past, of this Aries age when the patriarchy was born, the age of war, the age of law, and that demonization of the divine feminine. So we see some, including my president, happily playing the role of fiddler as Rome burns, as the people all over the world are harmed, who are dying, who are losing everything. And the fiddler just keeps playing because he is so engrossed in his own story, in his own needs, in his own bliss. We see that so clearly with this astrology. Again, Mars and Aries, Neptune, Mercury, Saturn, all conjunct right now. And at the same time, and the reason I'm speaking about this is that Mars is essential to follow along because Mars is the ruler. All of those planets right now, 10 in Aries, they are all looking up to Mars. Mars right now is what we call an inconjunct with the south node of the moon in Virgo next to Lucifer. What does that mean? That means we are 100% having a review of the past. And it's going this back and forth, trying to get it right. Going too far this way. Oh, that's not working. Going that way. Ooh, no. So for you, this can really look like how are you being too humble? Too humble. Where your entire role in existence is to be the maid, to be the butler, because you do not matter. You have no worth. You are just meant to be the servant. That's too far, right? We need to go a little bit more this way. For some, this energy is about the fall, this fall from grace, this need to be humble. So all of these energies have more than one way that they can be playing out, but it's going to be that back and forth right now. Into the deep past, again, looking back to the end of the Pisces age, looking back to the age of Aries, where we have given away and lost that powerful warrior energy, the initiation to be a pioneer, to go to the beat of our own drum and to own it, right? To be that daredevil, to take risks, and just seeing what happens. If that is not you, if that is not something that you can easily embrace, right? There is a wound there. There is an old story there. So go into that story, go into those old past wounds and sit with them. Work through them, witness them. This is this invitation that so many of us are being called into because we need to step into this spiritual warrior energy that we hold, that the world is needing right now. This is the gong that is calling those of us forward. And that's why the beats are going to get louder, the strikes are going to come harder and faster, because we need to wake up. We need to shed the old bullshit stories to step into this deeper truth of who we are, of our spiritual mastery, of each of us being spiritual warriors, protectors, and defenders. And Aries is sitting there on that battlefield, and she will not move until we wake up. So just to bring in some more of this astrology right now around Mars at this new moon in Aries. I just feel that still coming up. So this no more, that feminine energy that I'm speaking of, the feminine who is speaking right now, this is not going to come easily to us. It's not going to be served on a nice silver platter and we go, oh, thank you so much. I didn't have to work for that at all. Sorry guys, that's not this moment. This is an initiation into warrior mastership, right? We also see this with the semi-square to Venus right now in Taurus. She who was demonized by the patriarchy during the age of Taurus. When the age of Taurus started to end, age of Aries came and he looked back at Venus and Taurus and was like, we got to get rid of this. So even within this lineup, oh goodness, it is what it is. So Mars doesn't stop there. I'm taking a moment to really explain this all to you because of how powerful Mars is and how we need to understand Mars to understand where we are coming into next. Mars is also square to Ixion in Capricorn. Are the rules of society that we are playing by the right rules? There is this tension. There is a need to see it for what it is. Society, as it is. Patriarchy, capitalism, where there has been this repression of the feminine throughout our entire society. Mars is now being asked, who's initiating all those planets in Aries, are initiating something new. Are the rules of society that we have been playing by, that have demonized the feminine, are they the right rules? And with Mars being opposite to Maki-Maki, this is not just speaking about this here now moment. This is allowing us to work through the fractal, to dive into the multi-dimensional worlds, the quantum worlds. So keep in mind that if something is happening in your life, something small, something big, or what's taking place on the world stage, that is the fractal. That as you work through that wound, that story, that old pattern, whatever it is, you go into that, it's opening you up into so much more, and it's allowing an entire update to our network, our consciousness as a human species. Maki-Maki is this higher octave of Uranus. So it's like full-on updates to our system. So just know that this is not a little moment thing happening right now. It can actually be very deep, very profound. As we are traversing this challenging dark time, we have the ability to transmute all of that darkness, all of that hardship, all of the things that are really challenging, right? You can transmute that darkness into light, the very thing that will be carrying you forward into your authenticity, into this beautiful creative expression of who you are. So, through the shittiness, through the very challenging times where our own spark for life, this Mars wants to be free. So where you may not have been free, those deep wounds that you're holding on to, those are actually the very thing, the fire that will carry you forward across the desert, across the way into something entirely new. So all of this is speaking to why this moment is so challenging, so intense. It was meant to be this way. We have Neptune, Saturn, Mars, Mercury right now are all sextile to Pluto. What do we have in our hands? What is it that we are holding? And what is it that we are wanting to initiate into? These new roads, the freedom to follow those new roads, even these new ideas of what being a warrior is. Not the old Age of Aries stuff, but something new, this true defender, true protector, an energy of Aries that is also embodying the feminine, embodying Venus, caring about the other person. The old skills of that past is part of what we are recognizing right now. And again, this is something we have to lean into. It's not meant to come easily, because this is our initiation into being true warriors, true empath, spiritual warriors, the divine feminine stepping up and into this fullness of her entire expression. So, we continue on this, again, the spiritual warriors, these spiritual protectors and defenders. This is who we are, and we are being initiated into this new direction, what new leadership looks like, this need to heal the old wounds of the past, to integrate them. That took me a while to get here, but I got you here. That is the new moon in Aries on April 17th, April 18th. 27 degrees of Aries, conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer, conjunct Eris, the warrior sister of Mars, who's going to shake things up, who's going to throw that apple into the party and say for the fairest, to let all those goddesses, all wrapped up in themselves, fight over who's the fairest, causing discord in order to cause true harmony, true equality. Chiron has been transiting Aries for almost 7 years. He's going to be moving into Taurus in June. We'll dip back into Aries again and move forward into Taurus. So we're not fully finished with Chiron, but we have been getting this real push into those old wounds where we have not been allowed to be free, where our spark for life, this life force, this life blood, like we get excited about doing this thing and then we get punched in the gut and we fall off our horse and we can't get back up again, because the second we do, we just get punched in the gut again. That has very much been the Chiron and Aries story, really being wounded on freedom, on our, that again, that deep warrior within us, our leadership ability to initiate new directions and claiming that beat of your own drum. Do you know what that is? Have you been allowed to follow that beat wherever it takes you? Or have you not? This has been the journey of Chiron through Aries. And as I said, we are not just working in this here now moment in time. There's been a deep reliving of the past, going all the way to the age of Aries. This new moon in Aries, conjunct Chiron and Eris, is helping us to see who we truly are. Chiron are these deep soul wounds. Where we are the most wounded is where the light comes through. This is how and where we can become the gifted healers and teachers. It has come out of our wounds. Where we are wounded, that is the knowledge, the gifts that we hold, that we have healed within us, integrated. Now we hold that wisdom. And this very much is the wisdom of leadership. True leadership. We are being invited, the seed at this Aries new moon that's being planted, which will be just like the gong ringing out for the next moon cycle until we get to our next new moon. This is a seed being planted to help us to see who we truly are. The strength, the heart of the warrior, the true warrior, and embodied, integrated Aries energy that he, she, masculine and feminine, lives inside each of us. So this new moon with Chiron and Aries is about going into those wounds to see as gently as we can what they are. To wake up to this lost truth of ourselves. But it is going to be the pressure cooker, this reactionary chamber of change and transformation that is needed to wake us up, to be forged in the fire. To be made into diamonds is not an easy, gentle process. And that is why the world is where it is right now. Where are you experiencing this in your life? That reactionary chamber of change, to be forged from the fire. How is that coming up for you? Let me know in the comments below so me and everyone else can see you and witness you on your journey of being made into that diamond, of being forged into this true spiritual warrior that you are, that you hold deep within you. And I just love it that Aries is there holding that flame as she stands, like she rises, her whole energy rises to meet the moment. She is right there standing beside you on that battlefield. She will not leave you alone to face it alone. She will stand beside you as you do, as you refine and rediscover who you are. We are in this time of change and transformation, and just as I began, that call, that vibration is only going to get louder. More change. We cannot stay where we have been in the past. I'll just briefly add in that Uranus right now is at 29 degrees Taurus, so definitely be expecting some seismic shocks. Definitely, and we've been seeing this, right? Just financially, with money, with resources. You know, the Strait of Hormuz being closed. The entire globe is feeling it. All of this is pushing us into this change to leave the old fictional stories behind. Uranus in conjunct to Varda. Varda, this beautiful light of creation, hope. Hope shines brightest when we are at our darkest moments. So, as I said, the call is going to get louder and louder. The intensity in the world is going to continue because it needs to. And yet, know that the more things look dark, the more challenging things become as we flip through that Rolodex, jumping through timelines, revisiting old timelines, destruction timelines, right? that is when the light and the hope will shine ever brighter. And that, my friends, that is you. That is me. That is the call for each of us to embody in this moment. Spiritual warriors. To rise, to meet, to remember that this is who we are. And you are needed to take a stand, however that might be and look like for you. So, I hope this is giving you some real grounding and understanding with what's coming, despite all the cars and the noise and the rear from all the girders and starts from all of our gardeners here. But I wanted to sit here with you and to have the beautiful blooming jasmine behind me. It happens once a year, so I want to enjoy that with you. And remember, if you are needing some support right now, please reach out. You want to know what's happening in your life, why, and how to meet those energies, to ride those waves, go to my website, chrissywhistler.com. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it with your friends. I appreciate that so much. But even more, I appreciate you for being here. Not an easy moment in time. Whew. Not at all. And yet you are here. And I am so grateful that you are. So thank you for watching. Let me know how this Aries new moon cycle progresses for you. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.